Today we interview Scout Sobel, the public relations expert and celebrity podcast booker of choice, for Brian Grazer. Well, who's Brian Grazer? Brian Grazer co-founded Imagine Entertainment in 1986 with Ron Howard. And since that time, they've produced films that have grossed over $13 billion, including A Beautiful Mind, Apollo 13,
Houston, we have a problem.
Frost Nixon. And check this out, Brian Grazer has been nominated for 43 Academy Awards and 187 Emmys. And today's guest has worked with the Biggest Loser celebrity fitness trainer, Jillian Michaels, and the best-selling author of the book Girl Boss and the founder of Nasty Gal, Sophia Amoruso. If you have ever wanted to start a successful public relations company, or if you've ever wanted to know what a successful public relations company does, this is the show for you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our exclusive interview with Scout Sobel.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's show, we're interviewing the amazing Scout. Welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
Well, I'm excited to have you on the show, and I've never met somebody by the name of Scout before meeting you. So do you come from a long line of Scouts, or tell us about the origin of your name?
So basically, it's actually a nickname that was given to me when I was younger, and my best friend gave it to me behind To Kill a Mockingbird. One of the characters is Scout, and I was so upset with him because Scout is a tomboy, and I didn't consider myself a tomboy, and so since I hated it, he decided that was my nickname, and then it just completely caught on, and now I'm Scout.
Okay, that is fair. There we go. I knew there was a story there somewhere. Now, for the listeners out there that are not super familiar with you, when did you first figure out, what you wanted to do professionally? When did you figure out what it is that you now are doing?
That's such a crazy question for me because I have gone through so many entrepreneurial iterations of my career. I started when I was 22, and I created a physical magazine that was sold in Barnes & Noble and newsstands across the country, and we had Halsey on the cover. And then I transformed that with another woman into a digital women's media site. And then I started a blog and a podcast. And all of these things kind of led me one into the other to really find my true business purpose, as I say, which was creating Scouts Agency, which is a PR agency that helps women, mostly women, brands, businesses, podcasts, voices, talents, kind of get their name out there through podcast PR and traditional PR. But something that's always kind of a common theme in my career is this women supporting women aspect. So I've really held on to that throughout my time.
Could you explain for the listeners out there, we've got about 500,000 listeners, and I'm sure many of them know what it means to be a PR agency, and some have no idea what a PR agency is or what it does. Can you kind of explain what a PR agency does?
Yeah, so essentially what my PR agency does is when I started Scouts Agency, I really niched down into podcast PR. So I was essentially doing a little bit of podcast management where I help book guests for podcasts, big guests like Randy Zuckerberg, Sophia Amoruso, Brian Grazer, Byron Katie. And but my other 2 services are really geared towards PR. And I noticed that podcasts were a really great new form of PR. And I thought that being a guest on a podcast really gave you an intimate look into the person, their business, whatever it is that they've got going for themselves. And so I started getting people on a bunch of podcasts, and then I also offer traditional PR. And so traditional PR for PR agencies is really just placing a brand, company, or person into traditional media. So we've gotten our clients written up about in Forbes, Entrepreneur, BuzzFeed, Marie Claire, Who, What, Where, Bustle, Essence, Domino, stuff like that. So it's really figuring out where your client best shines on digital media and getting them exposure.
So did you mention Brian Grazer? Did you say Brian Grazer?
Yes, I got him on Don't Keep Your Day Job podcast.
Now, how did you first meet Brian? Because Brian is, well, can you tell the listeners out there who Brian Grazer is for those who don't know? Because they probably know of the works he's done, but they probably don't know his name maybe.
Yeah, he is a director, producer. He's in the entertainment industry, and I have never met him personally. I just found his email, or I think it was his publicist's email or something. I'm really good at finding the right person, and I pitched it, and they went for it. So most of my business has been built upon cold emailing and actually just creating relationships via email. And I take a lot of pride in my pitch letters that I write and kind of creating a really warm environment that someone would want to respond to. And Brian Grazer said yes, and it was amazing.
I'm going to give you a mega point, and I know that's what you were looking for was an audio-only mega point. But anytime somebody books Brian Grazer on something, you get a mega point. So hopefully you feel better about yourself with a mega point there. But for the listeners out there that don't know, Brian Grazer is the guy behind, he and Ron Howard put together Apollo 13, A Beautiful Mind, Frost Nixon. So you're working with some big players here. What's the most rewarding aspect of doing PR for these kind of people?
The most rewarding aspect is my client's reaction to when I book them a big opportunity.
Yeah.
That really feeds me with joy. I love being able to take a woman's brand podcast and get it out there into the world and tell their message. I mean, when we booked, for example, Sophia Amoruso, the founder of Girl Boss, on a podcast, I think my whole office, we opened up a bottle of wine because we were so excited. It's really about creating wins for our clients and seeing them happy. And the thank you notes we get of, oh my God, I can't believe you got this person on, or I can't believe you got me, featured here. This has been my dream. Things like that just fill me with such reward and such fulfillment that I kind of chase that high every day. With
Sophia, she's obviously the founder of Nasty Gal. I know you said you opened up a bottle of wine as a team. How excited were you to book her? I mean, were you fired up?
Yeah, I screamed.
Really?
I am known for celebrating every little win that possibly walks through my email inbox. And so when a big win comes, I definitely go nuts. I text my dad and my husband, and I really relish in those good moments, because I find that if you don't do that when you're starting a business or running a business, what's the point, right? It's all about kind of figuring out all those good moments throughout the day and really relishing and celebrating in them.
Where is your office located? Are you in San Diego, or are you in LA, or where do you call home?
I am in San Diego. Our office is in Little Italy, San Diego. But I do drive up to LA every other week to record my podcast, OK Sis, with my sister. And while I'm in LA, I'll organize a bunch of meetings for Scouts Agency.
Now, I know a lot of people want to listen to your podcast. What's the best way for them to find that incredible podcast?
Yeah, so I actually have two podcasts. One is OK Sis. You can just type it in, OKAYSIS, to wherever you listen to podcasts, and it's me and my sister. And then if you want more of an entrepreneurial and mental health self-improvement mindset podcast, you just look up Scout, my name, SCOUT, in the podcast app or Spotify, and you can listen to solo episodes of my mental illness journey that I've gone through, and my entrepreneurial journey that has kind of led me to where I am today.
So tell us, how did you start your first company? How did you do it?
Yeah, so when I started my first company, I was heavily depressed, and I had dropped out of college and moved in with my parents, and had just been kind of floating around lost. And one of my main dreams was really to work in the magazine industry, but I had interned for a few and just didn't find fulfillment in those jobs, but loved the pages of magazines. And so I was just sitting with my friend at a coffee shop, and I looked at her and I just said, hey, do you want to start a magazine together? And she said yes. And we decided that we would just print it at Kinko's and, take pictures with disposable cameras and just pass it out to the friends. And something in my brain completely switched. And I remember that feeling. It was like a light bulb went off. And I went home and insanely started researching printers, like nice printers. And all of a sudden, I put a budget together, and I needed $10,000. And so I created a Kickstarter, raised the $10,000. We did a 3-issue run, and Barnes & Noble actually contacted me. I woke up one morning to an email from Barnes & Noble, and I literally responded with, just checking, this is Barnes & Noble, and you want to sell my magazine. Is that correct? Because I was 23 at that point. I couldn't believe it. And so that's really when I found my purpose and realized that the entrepreneurial game was for me.
How would you describe kind of the day-to-day basis of what you do? I mean, what does your schedule look like on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so I wake up around 6:30 or 7, and I meditate each morning. I do I write in my journal for 1 to 2 pages, and I read a meditation from the Daily Stoic. And then I usually kind of just check my phone, like kind of browse through my email, see if there's anything important I need to answer right then and there. Then I get ready. I go into my office at around 8:39, and I pretty much work straight until 5 or 6. I don't really take a lunch break. I don't know why. I just don't really feel I need it. And then it's kind of ordinary. And then I go home and I make dinner for my husband, and I'm in bed really early. I'll read a book before bed, meditate before bed, and go to sleep. And then obviously on the weeks I'm in LA, Tuesday and Wednesday every other week. And then my schedule's a little different where I have meetings around Los Angeles, recording podcasts, and all that stuff. But for the most part, it's pretty much I go into my office and just work all day.
And what time do you like to go to bed?
Oh, well, I like being in bed by 8:30 and falling asleep around like 9:30.
Okay, 9. Okay, and then what do you like to eat during the day?
In the morning, well, it's a little bit different because now I'm in quarantine, but in the morning I have a collagen smoothie with banana, berries, almond milk, collagen protein powder, flax seeds, and then I have 2 eggs and like some sausage for lunch. And then I don't like to eat too much during the day because I have like a very strange situation. It's not a strange situation, but I have a lot of fatigue issues. And so when I eat too heavily during the day or I eat really fatty substances, I get really tired. So I like to keep it pretty light during the day. And then for dinner, I'll make a protein, veggie, and rice, and I will eat that. And then sometimes I'll have a snack throughout the day, like a power bar or something like that. Or if I'm really craving something, I'll go get some hash browns down the street or something like that.
Sausage. Are you eating, is this real sausage? Is this some kind of organic vegan sausage? What kind of sausage?
It's actually the vegetarian Morningstar sausages. I've been eating them for so long. I'm not a vegetarian. I don't know why, but I just love those veggie patties for the morning.
Okay. We're getting into the deep world of Scout here. Okay, so now you mentioned the Daily Stoic. That's a Ryan Holiday product. Am I correct?
Yes.
Do you have a favorite Ryan Holiday book or favorite Ryan Holiday books?
Yeah, so I've actually only read The Obstacle is the Way, and I read that, I want to say, in October, and I fell so in love with him and Stoicism that I bought the Daily Stoic. And I actually, everyone that interns for me or is on my team always gets a Daily Stoic. I order it from Amazon, and we all do it together, or we kind of like reflect on our journal prompts. And so it's something I try to tie into my office culture as well. But the next one that I want to read, it's something with ego in the title. I should order that because I'm looking for a new book. But he's amazing, and Stoicism has completely changed my life when it comes to mindset and mental strength.
Stoicism, means the endurance of pain or hardship without the display of feelings and without complaint. Can you explain what Stoicism means to you? Because sometimes when you hear the word, people start to think, "Oh, that's weird. I don't know." You hear ism. Anytime you hear ism, it can get kind of weird. What does Stoicism mean to you?
Yeah, so I live with a pretty severe case of bipolar disorder where many years of my life were taken from me due to being flooded with really deep and painful emotions. And so as I started going on my own healing journey and figuring out what that looked like for me, Stoicism is just this reminder that I don't need to trust the negative thoughts in my head, and I don't need to necessarily act on my emotion at all times. And I can, assess what's happening in my brain and say, okay, where's the rational aspect of this? Where's the reality of this? And it just brings me back to a place of balance that isn't so bogged down in unnecessary emotion that is completely catastrophic or not necessarily related to the event itself. So for me, it's just been a really great way to regulate my bipolar disorder.
How do you minimize the downs, and how do you keep them from bothering? I mean, because there's somebody out there who needs to hear this right now. How do you do it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was lost for many years, non-functioning. My doctors and therapists didn't even know if I would have a career, and here I am, and I made a 6-figure revenue on my agency in its first year. And it's a mix of things. One, it's finally deciding to stand up for yourself and to fight for yourself. You really need to make that decision and commitment to yourself Two, it's really creating a relationship with yourself and figuring out what coping tools work for you. And it's accepting that you need coping tools. If I wake up in the morning and say, this isn't fair, that I have to meditate, journal, essential oils, ashwagandha, journal some more, do this, do that to keep my mind in check and just to function on a day-to-day basis, that attitude is just going to get you into a deeper hole. So once you really find acceptance that this is the way your brain works, then you come to a place of, okay, what works for me and what can I do with it? So for me, I go to therapy once a week. I took a really long time to find the right psychiatric meds, but I have finally found them and I take them on a daily basis. I employ a lot of holistic tools like cupping and acupuncture, essential oils, just little things, little rituals throughout the day that keep me grounded. I practice gratitude nonstop. I'm really big on gratitude. But really the shift for me when I started taking care of myself was when my boyfriend, now husband, said to me, I don't care if you're depressed and hopeful. If you're hopeful, we can work with it and I'll help you. But if you're depressed and hopeless, I can't do this. And so that inspired me, like, what if I just woke up and dealt with my mental illness with a little bit of hope? And then the second thing I would say is really entrepreneurship for me saved my mental illness because it gave me passion and accountability and responsibility that really hung on my shoulders. And so, when I wake up in the morning, I have people that have paid me that are relying on me. And so that really helps me get out of bed. So maybe find something that you're actually passionate about beyond your mental illness and throw yourself into that project.
You are an inspiration for a lot of people. And I want to just see, and I'm not asking you to name drop just so that we can name drop. I'm just saying, for somebody out there that's thinking about starting their own thing, can you maybe fire off a few of the biggest wins you've had in your PR career so far, where you're like, because Brian Grazer's huge. He's huge.
Yeah.
And these are big. And
yeah,
I think somebody out there who needs to recognize they can do it. Give us some of the biggest wins you've had.
Yeah, so some of the biggest wins is that we got 2 of our podcasters in a Forbes list article.
Cool.
We got, I think, 2 in an entrepreneur list article. I signed Kat Sadler, who is a former E! News host who quit due to gender wage gap, which was really big for us. I just got our newest client, Bala, who just signed a deal with Mark Cuban and Maria Sharapova on Shark Tank. We got them in Marie Claire and Who What Where last week, which was really big. We've signed Lauren Goodwin from Career Contessa, the woman who started Career Contessa. And just some of the big people that we've booked, Colby Calais we've booked, Randy Zuckerberg we've booked. Obviously, we talked about Brian Grazer. We booked Jillian Michaels, Amy Porterfield. So those are some of the bigger wins that have kind of kept me pinching myself that these are the people I represent and these are the opportunities I bring in the door.
That is awesome. Now, if the listeners out there want to learn more about you, what's the best place they can go to right now? What's the best website or best place they can go to learn more about you, Ms. Scout?
Yeah, the best place is my Instagram, @Scout Sobel, SCOUTSOBEL. There you'll find all the links in my bio to Scout's agency, to OK Sis podcast, to Scout podcast, to my dog's Instagram if you want. And I post a lot of entrepreneurial and mental health things on my Instagram and then also on my podcast. So that's the best place to kind of find me as a whole. My email's up there. You can DM me, whatever it is. I'm always an open book when it comes to helping others through their entrepreneurial and mental health journeys. I've even gotten on the call with some of my followers that I don't know just because they're having a rough day and provided some sort of inspiration for them. So my door is really open.
Scout, I really do appreciate you taking the time, carving time out of your schedule here. I've got 2 final questions for you, then I'll let you get back to being awesome. This whole quarantine thing, how are you doing it? What are you doing? Are you in the house? Are you in a condo? Are you in the office? Where are you quarantined?
I'm quarantined in my apartment with my husband, and of course, obviously, there's a little bit of a lingering anxiety that I feel due to the heavy times that we're all living in. But at the same time, I'm really looking at this as an opportunity for me to help others who have maybe never dealt with anxiety or panic attacks because I've learned the tools to kind of cope during uncertain and mental turmoil. And so I'm really leaning into my tools and really harboring my mental strength to kind of be a light for others. And it has been fine. My husband and I have not really fought, which is amazing. And I've kind of settled into my new routine. Routines are very important to me, so I've kind of created a completely new routine that keeps me really grounded and harbored throughout the day to keep me productive. And so it's just really about adapting to a different time and doing whatever we can that's in our control.
And for people out there that want to maybe hire you, hire your PR firm, what's the official name of your PR firm, and where can people go right now to learn more about that?
Yeah, our official name is Scouts Agency,
Okay.
just after my name, and you can go to scoutsagency.com. Our email's up there. You can go to Scouts Agency on Instagram, or you can just email me directly, scout@scoutsagency.com, which is also on my Instagram if you need to find me.
Scout, I really do appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to join us here, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yes, you too. Thank you so much. This was such a pleasure.
And now, without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom!
Boom. Boom. Boom.
Why does this still keep happening to me? I don't know whose prayer I'm breaking into, but I'm breaking into somebody's prayer saying, Lord, why do I keep going through the same things over and over again? And the Lord sent me here to tell you the problem is with your default. Until you change your default, you will always go back to being who you were before because you have never changed your mind. You change your friends, you change your address, you change your phone number, you change the songs you sing, you changed everything else, but you didn't change your mind. There is nothing as powerful as a changed mind.
Boom! Nothing as powerful as a changed mind. Boom! Better get yours, cause I'ma take mine. Boom! Leave them where they got if they ain't ready. Used to have a lot of homies, now they dropping like a Betty. I'm like, boom! We taking over, it's our time now. Boom! Oh, you ain't know, we about to thrive now. Big, overwhelming, optimistic, monumental, A place. Hey, back, let me get 'em. Go get 'em then. Hurdle every obstacle, trying to do the impossible. Turned my whole life around, haters thought it was comical. Had to make some moves, didn't even seem logical. Quarterback to play, man, I had to call it audible. Drop back, stop that. Rearrange or switch it up. Only got one life to live, it's best that you go live it up. Failure ain't an option, ain't no way that I can give it up. Hey, knowledge, gon' pick it up. Nothing like your posse, look poppy, you cannot top me. They watch me and try to copy like Rocky, you cannot stop me. Hungrier than ever, we grinding all through the weather. We shining because we better get with us, we bout our cheddar. Once I change my mind, dog, trust me, ain't no going back. Coming for that top spot, I'm feeling like they owe me that. Time for us to level up, I feel like we've been holding back. Throw your hands up, say it with me if you know it, Dad. Boom! Nothing as powerful as a changed mind. Boom! Better get yours, cause I'ma take mine. Boom! Leave them where they got if they ain't ready. Used to have a lot of homies, now they dropping like a Betty. I'm like, boom! We taking over, it's our time now. Boom! Oh, you ain't know, we about to thrive now. Big, overwhelming, optimistic, monumental, A place. Hey, back, let me get 'em. Yeah. Came a long way from where I used to be. Don't even see life the way I used to see it. Old habits die hard, but you gotta leave them. If they ain't riding like a Harley, then you don't need them. You're cheering and you're clapping, I don't need that. Fake friends treat them like Fat Joe, make them lean back. Excitement, no vision, makes you blind, I can see that. Anything I think up in my mind, I can achieve that. I can make a million if I want to. I'ma keep it real cause I want to. Other women try to holler, girl, I want you. And disrespecting wifey's what I won't do. Gon' do your dance, gon' do your dance. If you really wanna change, gotta have a plan. Even when they sit down, I'ma take a stand. Throw your hands up, say it with me if you know it, man.
Beliefs become your thoughts become your actions. So be intentional about where your passion is focused. There's no hocus pocus. We only live once, man, and you know this. You can't press the rewind, but you can make a beeline to the next level like you're headed for the tree line. I was born in Minnesota, moved to Oklahoma, incorporated both into my rhymes. Now it's time to show you how a former stuttering student can turn out the raps with a lyrical miracle flow in the cash to match. Yeah, I'm imported, a Minnesota refugee, but I'm consistent as can be as I rap on hip-hop beats, bringing rappers and tax. Even though that I'm wise, I can play that funky music, but I ain't vanilla ice. Here we go, here we go, here we go, full steam. 3, 2, 1, dynamite on the scene.
Boom! Nothing as powerful as a changed mind. Boom! Better get yours, cause I'ma take mine. Boom! Leave them where they got if they ain't ready. Used to have a lot of homies, now they dropping like a Betty. I'm like, boom! We taking over, it's our time now. Boom! Oh, you ain't know, we about to thrive now. Big, overwhelming, optimistic, momentum. Boom!
And the Lord sent me here to tell you the problem is with your default. Until you change your default, you will always go back to being who you were before because you have never changed your mind. You change your friends, you change your address, you change your phone number, you change the songs you sing, you changed everything else, but you didn't change your mind. There is nothing as powerful as a changed mind.
Hear the rest of T.D. Jakes' incredible, life-changing, and mind-altering sermon, Nothing as Powerful as a Changed Mind Today, by looking up T.D. Jakes on YouTube and typing in Nothing as Powerful as a Changed Mind.
You're getting ready to flow. I feel the glory.
That is a Lyrical Miracle Rap